first up is the provisional cast on. So we're going to provisionally cast on 64 stitches. Just going to make a slip knot first, however you want to make a slip knot. You don't have to make this super short or long or anything. It doesn't matter how long this is. I'm so used to making it about 6 to 8 inches that's just what I gravitate towards. All right, and then you're going to hold the crochet hook and the knitting needle parallel to each other. So like that, with the working yarn underneath. And you're going to kind of do everything like you would crochet a chain, but you're going to crochet the chain around the knitting needle. So you're going to chain and then put the yarn to the back of the knitting needle, chain, put the yarn to the back of the knitting needle. If we were to not put the yarn to the back of the knitting needle, we would just be chaining, just crocheting a chain. But when we put this to the back of the knitting needle, we are then crocheting that chain over the top of the knitting needle. This means that you know how easy it is to unravel a chain, just super easy, just pull it and it comes undone. Well, that is what's going to make our stitches come live when we pull this out. Whoop. And if you get a little too wild and crazy, you can always just pop that back and go at it again. It is best to use a pretty smooth yarn. I'm using leftovers from a hat that I just knit. But it's a 75-25 pretty smooth yarn. And then you also want it to be a different color than the yarn that you're going to be knitting your sock with. It just will make your life a lot easier. When you get all 64 of your stitches, I'm not at 64 yet, but I'm going to just chat about this really quick. Then just chain a few. And then you know to start unraveling from where you chained. And that will make more sense when we go to unravel. I have knit all of my 32 stitches and turned. So I'm on the end of row number 1. And row number 2 is the first time I'm looking at the wrong side of my work. And I'm just going to slip that stitch purlwise and pull that up and over and then all the way to the front again. If you're a continental knitter, you're just going to go up and over and pull it to the front. So same action whether you're holding the yarn in your right or your left hand. My left hand's just ornamental. So again, round over the top and to the front again. And you're going to purl all the way down until you get to the other end. So 31 stitches. Okay, I finished that row and now I am on to row 3. Just make sure when you slip your stitch to make your German short row, you're always going in purlwise, but you do always need your yarn in front. So to pull it up over the top. So pull it over and then pull it to the back. And then you're going to knit until 1 stitch before the German short row. So that's going to look like something like this, where you're going all the way down. You're not going to knit the 1 stitch before the German short row. You're just going to knit up to it, that 1 stitch before, and then turn your work and go back the other way. Keep repeating rows 3 and 4 until you have 10 stitches that are unworked in between. Single stitches. You'll have 6 German short rows on this side and 6 German short rows on this side. All right, I just finished going back and forth, repeating rows 3 and 4 until I had 6 short rows over here, 6 over here, and 10 single stitches in between. Now I'm going to knit 2 rounds, and as I knit those 2 rounds, as I come to my German short rows, I'm going to knit them as 1 stitch. So I came to a German short row. This is just a single stitch here. Here I'm coming to another German short row. I'm just going to knit it as a single stitch. And I'm just going to complete this round back to my tail, and then I will do one more round, which is my 2 rounds total. Now we're halfway through the tab on the back of the ankle. The reason this is called a 3-toed sock is technically the short row that we're making right now is technically a toe. It's just I had you do your short rows at kind of a slower speed, so the rise of the short row on the back of the heel is a little bit shallower than the one that we're going to make for the heel and for the toe, but they're all constructed the same way. It's just that when you do the heel and the toe, you won't have that 1 stitch separation between the short rows. So if you have gotten this far, you can do everything that you need to for this sock. So now we're on to row 7, which will be to knit 21 stitches. So go ahead and knit 21. All right, and then we're going to turn our work. We're going to make that German short row, and then we're going to purl 9. And then we're going to turn our work, make that German short row, and then we're going to knit to the last German short row that we made. I guess before the one we just made, but the one before that. And we're going to knit all the way up to it. And then we're going to knit it as 1. And then we're going to knit 2 more. And then we're going to turn our work. And then make that German short row. Knit all or purl all the way up to there that one is. That's our German short row there. So we're going to purl that all together and then purl 2 more. And turn our work. And you're going to continue doing these 2 rows until you've worked all the stitches except for the first and last stitch of this 32 stitch section. All right, I've done all of my worked all my stitches except for the last 2. So I have a German short row 1 stitch in and a German short row 1 stitch in. But you can see here, this is the little flap for the back of my ankle. And then I'm going to knit 9 rounds, and I'm going to get this edge live again, and I'll come back with that on how to do that, not just have it done. Now we are done with our first toe, and it should look something like that. The toe that's not a toe, it's actually the back of our heel. So this will be kind of like that. Foot will go down in here, and this will be at the back of our heel. Now what we need to do is get these stitches live again. So our very, very first step was to do the provisional cast on, where we cast on 64 stitches with this bright green yarn. Let me get it back undone here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to unzip. And what that means is we're going to pull this, and eventually all these stitches will come alive as we do it. So I'm going to pull this for a little bit to get it down there. And then you're going to see the first stitch that it's in is right there. So we're going to, let's see, grab that, put my needle through, and then we actually have to, the very first one, pull that through. There we go. And then one by one, we're going to pull this and we're going to get that stitch alive. But what I do is I go into the stitch. Actually, I want to come from behind. Go into this stitch that the green yarn is in. There it is right there. And then pull that out. And like I said earlier, don't pick a grabby yarn. The green is not grabby. The pink has a little bit of alpaca in it, and it's very grabby. So I'm putting my knitting needle into the stitch that the green yarn is in, and then I'm pulling that out. And then what I do is each time I kind of pinch the green, because the biggest thing is I don't want to pull the tail and lose this loop here. So I kind of pinch the tail and the loop, and then I come in right there. Oops, not right there. Looking through the camera makes it super fun. All right, focus. Okay, so the green yarn you can see is right in that loop. So I'm getting that loop on my needle, and then I'm going to pull that through. Now you could, if you wanted to live on the dangerous side, you could just unzip this and let all those stitches stand at attention. That's just a bit harder. I am making sure my orientation is correct as far as how the stitch is mounted, but if you were to pick it up backwards, actually this one here is picked up backwards, it's not the end of the world. All right, so pull that, and then we're just going to do this one stitch at a time until we have all 64 beginning stitches back on the knitting needle. Do 32 and then pull the needle out and do magic loop and do the other 32 on the other side. I have gotten all my stitches. This is my original, or this is my knitting that I've been doing. And then this needle here are all my picked up provisional stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the tail inside from my original cast on there. And then I need to get these two needles parallel. So this is the heel flap that's on, or the flap that's going to go over the back of my heel. And I need to knit these two stitches together. So to do that, I kind of have to push. And if you use like a smaller circular or something like that, you won't have to work as hard at this, but there we go. So you just want to have this inside of here. And sometimes you just kind of have to push everybody around and tell them what to do, because this is not something they want to be doing. But you just want to make sure that your little flap here is going to be sealed together when you knit this. So you're going to push all your stitches up on your provisional cast on and use a needle that is smaller than your original needle. I was dumb and got a larger needle, so that's why I'm having to fight it a little bit more than I usually would. And then what you're going to do is you're going to still do magic loop. I have my loop back here, and I'm just going to knit through this stitch here, and I'm going to knit through this stitch back here. So I'm through this stitch and I'm through that stitch. All right, so then I'm going to knit and make sure I pull this fairly tight because I don't want to, I don't have any gapping or anything. And kind of did one fell swoop. I took both of those off. So you're going to go up through the needle in the front and up through the needle in the back. And then you're going to knit them as one. So you're going to come through there and then you're going to push off both of your needles. So there, and you can do it as one fell swoop or you can do it in 2 steps. So sometimes I'll see people do that and then come through the front and push off. As long as you still have just one wrap around the needle for this yarn that you just did, and you're getting rid of the stitches on that back new needle. So here I'm going to let's get that in focus. I'm going to get rid of this stitch here and this stitch here in one fell swoop. So I'm going to just whoop, and then we have both of them off. So up through there, knit them together and push off. And I'm going to just do that all the way around until I have freed my needle that just picked up all those provisional stitches. Now, after fiddling with that craziness, we have a cute little cuff that is the top of our sock. Now follow the directions for the second toe, which will be the heel, and the third toe, which is the actual toe. And the directions are very, very, very similar to this first toe. It's just that it's a little bit deeper. But you're going to do all of the same German short rows, and the techniques are all the same. And I hope you enjoy knitting this pattern and wearing these really fun shorty socks.